Well, I guess we can all say that it was definitely not the driest of days today. Definitely was not the driest of days. We were seeing rainfall, as early as this morning, and we still are currently receiving rainfall right now as we speak. So, obviously, scattered to numerous showers, storms, likely, especially northern and in the western upstate of South Carolina. Daily scattered showers and storms expected all the way from tomorrow to Sunday and Monday, all Memorial Weekend. Warming trend next week with highs in mostly the upper 80s, lower 90s under those humid conditions. And then also severe threat is low. Isolated damaging winds possible and flash flood risk is there. Now, we're going to go on and talk about that. If you have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. Also, hit the subscribe button as it is always free to do so. But let's see what's currently going on. Well, right now, overall, just heavy rainfall throughout the entire upstate. We see from Greenville down all the way into Aiken, we're seeing this rainfall going on. And you have those pockets of where it's really heavy. You have some pockets where it may be even a little bit dry, like in Saluda, maybe over near Greenville right now, near Walhalla. And then everybody else, it looks like that we are dry from the low country to the PD areas to the Grand Strand and even the southern Midlands. But we definitely have this huge pocket of rainfall that's going on up here inside the upstate. But if we see what's going on throughout the entire U.S., what do we notice? We see rainfall not only going on throughout the southeast, but also over there inside of the Ohio Valley, over inside of the Mid-Atlantic. The Dakotas receiving some. Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas receiving some. Colorado receiving in some of that rainfall and some snowfall with some severe weather in Texas, rainfall in California. Cloud cover right now seems to be going pretty strong right now. We're seeing cloud cover from the upstate, Midlands, low country. Everybody is receiving at least some cloud cover. And if we go on and take a look at this cloud cover for the future, we go on and push this forward, and what do we see cloud cover activity not only, through this afternoon, but also, or this afternoon, not only throughout tonight, but also as you go into tomorrow afternoon, going even into Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. So cloud cover activity is here. It's definitely still strong. Now for our current temperatures right now, we're seeing around 77 from Somerville through Hilton Head Island through Charleston. Almost this entire low country area around 76 to 77 degrees. And then as we get into the Grand Strand, 74 Conway, 75 from Georgetown through to North Myrtle Beach, 75 in Columbia, 76 Orangeburg, 74 Lugoff in Hartsville, 67 in Union, Lawrence, 65 in Clemson, 63 Greenville, Spartanburg, 67 in Rock Hill. Now for our air quality, it looks like that we are staying mostly in the good, but there are some areas that are inside the yellow, that moderate 51 to 100 range right there. Air quality levels is down, again, for most of us in that 0 to 50 range. But if you're in the yellow areas and you're going to be out for a little bit tonight, maybe a long period of time, just make sure that you're aware of the air quality. Now for our low temperatures for tonight, we're talking about 63 in Greenville, Spartanburg, 65, Newberry, 68, Columbia, 70, Sumter, 68, Kingstree, 72 in Georgetown, 74, Charleston, 75, Hilton Head Island, and 73 in Myrtle Beach. Now for your high temperatures, you're talking about a good 75 in Greenville, 74 Spartanburg for tomorrow, 86 in Columbia, 88 in Orangeburg, 86 Charleston, Georgetown, 82 Myrtle Beach, 85 in Dillon. Rainfall for today, going into tomorrow. We're seeing most of that rainfall happening up there inside of the very far upstate. We see around 2 to 3 inches of rain maxing out over there in the very far upstate. We see around 1.5 to 2 inches for Greenville, Anderson, inch to 1.5 for Spartanburg through Rock Hill, Newberry, Winsboro, 1/2 inch to 1 inch from Aiken to Barnwell, Columbia, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch for Cheraw, Orangeburg, 1/10 inch to 1/4 inch all the way from Florence to Sumter, and then 1/100 inch to 1/10 inch for a good amount of rainfall from the low country over into the Grand Strand areas. So we see a lot going on, and this is definitely a change from what we've been receiving for weeks past, where we're talking about nice dry conditions, huge change, and we've been talking about this change for a while now. Not only that, but obviously the severe weather risk is there. Isolated damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour is the main concern here. But I think for the most part, that the severe weather risk for tonight, I mean, is it completely done? I mean, we don't know that, obviously. If it's completely done, they don't have any sort of alerts out, if I'm not mistaken. But one thing I will say is they did just update it. They just put out an update for it. And yes, the severe weather risk is gone. The severe weather risk is gone. So let me go in and pull it up. Right here, severe weather risk is gone. No longer a severe weather risk for us. And then as you go into tomorrow, there is a severe thunderstorm risk from Greenville over into Spartanburg, over into Aiken, Greenwood. These areas inside that marginal risk of severe weather, isolated damaging wind gusts being the main concern. And then day 3 on Sunday, thunderstorms are still possible. So active days, active weekend, all of that is in the books for us. Fire weather, not really anything. And then excessive rainfall. This is our biggest area, and that's why we have the severe weather screen, because tonight, scattered flash flooding is possible up there inside the very far upstate. If you're in the green, you have a 5%, the yellow, the 15% risk. Tomorrow, we are still not done. Tomorrow, isolated flash flooding for the entire upstate and the Midlands over inside the Western PD area. Day 3, that goes into Sunday. Sunday, isolated flash flooding. Back in the forecast again up there for the upstate, also for the Midlands once again. Oh, and we're still not done. Day 4, here we go on Monday. Memorial Day, isolated flash flooding again for the upstate, Midlands, and the PD area. Okay, well, Tuesday must be good, right? Nope. Tuesday's also bringing in some isolated flash flooding once again. So the days of this training flash flooding threat is continuing as we go more and more into this weekend going into next week. Now for the crazy score for tonight, we're at a 55, the highest we've been at for a while now. We're in that 55, that strong category. Obviously, we're seeing heavy rain, storms are possible. Wind, not really the biggest concern, mainly just the heavy rain aspect of it is why we are there at that 55, especially with scattered showers and storms. Now, as we go in and take a look at the models are a pretty big part of this, because obviously we're going to check out and see what is going on in terms of our future. We're going to start off with the short-term future first, and we're going to start off here at around 10 o'clock. And one thing I will say is rainfall activity definitely going on in the upstate. You definitely see it inside the Midlands, the PD areas. And then once you get to around 12 a.m., 1 a.m., all the way over to 2 a.m., rainfall activity continuing to move its way east, thunderstorm activity. And as you get to around 4 o'clock in the morning, moving on to around 8 o'clock in the morning, shower activity. Now just looking more isolated and scattered, a lot less widespread from what we're seeing now in the morning time. But then watch as you get into around 11 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. You see some rainfall in the upstate. You see some rainfall in the Grand Strand, the PD areas. You also see some more thunderstorm activity up there in the upstate at around 2 o'clock p.m. as more severe weather, new severe weather threat, obviously, for tomorrow comes along as we go into the evening time. Look at all those showers and storms popping up. We get to around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock p.m. on Saturday, and we're still looking at a line of showers and storms trying to go throughout the state. Now, as we get into Sunday morning here at 7 o'clock, moving on to around 10 a.m. or so, what do we see? More rainfall, more thunderstorm activity statewide. I mean, you see it from the upstate to the low country to the PD to the Midlands, everywhere. Everybody is still seeing that shower and thunderstorm activity, even as we move into the afternoon on Sunday. So that's for the short term. What about for the long term? We start off here at around 2 o'clock p.m., and just as we push this forward, that rainfall activity that I was talking about at the beginning, with just this training, severe weather, this training, isolated flash flooding in general risk is just pushing on more and more and more. And then once you move through into Monday, going into Tuesday, still a bunch of rainfall, beneficial rainfall. This will help out our drought a bunch, obviously, because yesterday we just saw that our drought did expand. Last week, going into the beginning parts of this week, we didn't really see too much rainfall, but obviously we know that that's about to change. And then as we go on and move into around Thursday, going into Friday or so, look at how much rainfall we are still receiving as we go later throughout the week. We go into next weekend, still a good amount. Then as we go into the week after next week, going into June, rainfall is still present. Definitely not as much, though. Definitely not as much. How much rainfall can we see from this? Just if we look at it from a 300 to 400 hour perspective, we see around a good 3 inches, possibly even upwards of around 7.5 inches of rainfall is possible as we move throughout the next 300 to 400 hours. So a good amount of rainfall from this, and I genuinely do think that our drought conditions are going to start going down more as we get more into these rain systems, especially since we're getting days of potential flash flooding. But the European has a more mean average. It's more around 4 to 6 inches or so it has kind of like a lesser or a less range than the GEFS does. But the European has us around a good 4 to around 6, maybe even near 7.5, not 8 inches or so, as we move throughout the next 360 hours through Saturday, June the 6th. So, rainfall for us, it's moving on up. It is definitely moving on up. And if we go in and see how much rainfall we're going to see from the official National Weather Service or the Weather Prediction Center throughout the next 7 days, they're saying a good amount, especially in the upstate, of up to around 4 to 5 inches. You're seeing down there near the coastal areas where it's the lowest, down there near Charleston, around 8/10 of an inch or so, half an inch at the minimum. You see 3 inches to 4 inches in Columbia, an inch and a half in the PD areas, also inside of the Grand Strand area. So we definitely are going to be drenched good with some rainfall, beneficial rainfall. But as I always say, we don't wish for any sort of flooding or anything like that. But when we're getting rainfall like this, especially this much rainfall, that unfortunately has to be unfortunately has to be a consequence, especially if it's building up fast. Now, temperatures for us as just we move throughout the next 300 hours or so, definitely a bit of a cool down as we go into tomorrow. I mean, we're looking at a bunch of rainfall, a bunch of cloud cover that could impact us. But as we continue more into next week, warmer temperatures start to kind of battle with cooler air. We see like a influx in terms of warmer and cooler air kind of battling it out. Even as we go into next week, going into Friday or so, going into Saturday, look how much cooler air. Watch next weekend. Next weekend, a huge cool down, maybe trying to make its move. Even as we go into Sunday, going into Monday, I mean, look how cool it's getting, 9 to 10 degrees below average. And then it looks like that we are going to continue to stay just cooler than average for the beginning of June. So that could potentially be interesting to watch for. But this warmer and cooler battle kind of go on with each other as we go into June. But one big misconception that people may have is, okay, it's cooler than average, so, I mean, temperatures obviously aren't going to be up into the 80s or 90s or anything like that. Well, let me just show you real quick. This is the GFS in terms of temperatures. Watch as we push this forward. We still see 70s and 80s as we move into Saturday. You see where it was around 10 to 15 degrees below average. You see 60s up there for highs tomorrow in the upstate. Now, that's from the GFS. Obviously, the official forecast had us around 70s or so. And, this is Saturday. So, I guess maybe a bit of a disagreement here between the GFS and the official National Weather Service, but the GFS is made for long term anyway. But as we go into Sunday, going into Monday, still warmer temperatures. I said that warmer air and that cooler air may be trying to battle that out a little bit, but we still see 80s, and that's because we're getting so close to summer that when cooler temperatures try to come in, it's not really going to try and impact us that much. We still stay in the 80s, maybe trying to get close to 90s as we get into the end of next week. We move into Friday, going into Saturday. We remember when we saw that big influx of cooler air trying to move in from the north and east, maybe like a little cool air damming set up right here. And I can see for sure that we may have some high temperatures as we go into next weekend up into the 60s for some, and then low temperatures dropping down into the 60s, maybe the high 50s or so. That's around 200 hours out, I know, but I mean, the fact that they have it out like this could potentially mean something. Now, what does the ensemble say? Well, the ensembles kind of have us kind of in that same boat, and so this is something as well to watch for, because now you're starting to see the ensemble starting to gain a little bit more traction with this cooler air setup as we get more and more into June. So that's when you have to watch for. I mean, you see 57 over there inside of the upstate on Monday, June the 1st. Again, 228 hours out, but got to keep that in mind that this is an ensemble. This is not just a regular deterministic model that just sets up. Now, even as we go into around Tuesday, going into Wednesday, things definitely start to warm back up again, and we get back up into the 80s or so. But I'm really interested with these temperatures right here as we move more and more into next week. As we move more and more into around, well, maybe not next week, the week after next week, or next weekend. Really interested about these temperatures because I really do want to see what they are going to look like. Really do want to see that. So that's pretty much all I have to say in terms of the long-term future. So let's go on now and take a look at the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off with my Aunt Lula, who was here first. She says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Hopefully everyone had a wonderful day. Well, thank you so much for that. This morning I woke up to rain and thunderstorms. Well, thank you so much for that weather report for where you are. And honestly, I did not wake up to showers and storms, but I was taking an exam this morning, and during the exam it started raining, storming. So, honestly, I kind of did suspect that it could happen. Obviously, we talked about it this morning. If you were here for the morning forecast update that the low country could have received, I think we even talked about it last night as well, of the low country potentially receiving those showers as you move into this morning. And so, I wasn't really too shocked by it. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. My Aunt Lewis says Georgetown high was around 83. Currently, it's around 77. Well, at my house right now, it seems like it is around 79, and the high temperature for today was around 88. Mr. Chris says, good evening, everyone. Hope you had a great day. Was down at the hospital all day with my son, and the baby hasn't came yet. Well, like I said, hope all goes well with that. My Aunt Lewis says the rain we got this morning was well needed. However, it didn't last too long. Did not last too long. Did I even get any rainfall at my house? I don't even see any, which is kind of interesting because I got some at the school, but I did not get any at my house. Let me check my other one that I have. The older weather station that I had is no longer at my house anymore. It's somewhere else. But that one did not get any rainfall either. So very interesting. Very interesting to see how, areas that aren't really that far apart are, one side's getting rainfall while the other side is not. Mr. Chris says, please remember to go and hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know. It's free, helps the channel grow, and gets vital information out. Absolutely correct. Right now, we've had around a good 10 people tune in tonight and only 6 likes. So if you're a part of that group of 4 that have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. It's free. Mount Lewis says, or she was talking to Mr. Chris, excuse me. My cousin Cheryl says, good evening, weatherman. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone had a good week, and hope you all had a wonderful Memorial weekend. I love you all. Well, thank you so much for that post, and thank you so much for the well wishes for the week. Then as we continue our way down, Miss Chris has got to around 89 degrees here in Moncks Corner. Currently, it's around 77. My Nana says, hello, Jay and all. Hello to you. And then Flex Master says, Gray Court, South Carolina, how is the drought doing? Well, the drought right now is, it did expand yesterday. So it is expanding. But this rainfall right here, I do believe, will help knock it down some more. So right now, not looking the best right now. In fact, it's looking pretty bad right now. Especially down there in the low country. Continuing down, Mount Lewis says all the rain coming will definitely help my garden. And then Mr. Chris says I agree, every drop counts. And that's all. So we're gonna go on real quick and see what's going on in terms of top fans of the night for tonight. And honestly, I always say that if you come here early and you are, obviously one of the first ones here, you may go on and get yourself an award for tonight. I always usually say that make sure that you are here early. And so if we scroll our way up to the top real quick, Maya Lula was the first one here. So no question for tonight, but we will have honorable mentions, but no question for tonight. Maya Lula is the top fan of the night for tonight. So let's go on and give her a round of applause for being first tonight. Remember, I always say anything can happen. I can do anything. I could see who was here first. I could see maybe like anything from the high temperatures to the low temperatures to precipitation to the severe weather. I mean, it could be to anything. It could be anything. So you always have to be on your game. You always have to be on it because anything counts. But now that is out of the way, we will do honorable mention, by the way. So if you were, typing a good bit, you will get an honorable mention. But we'll get to that after we're done with the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking 4 areas. What am I talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly. And because they tune in almost nightly, we want to give them their forecast for them. Starting out with San Antonio, you have low temperatures tonight at 72, high temperature for tomorrow at 83, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 69. There is a slight chance of thunderstorms tonight. Heavy rain is expected tomorrow, and then a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow night. Now, for your severe weather, you do have a risk of severe weather for tomorrow, so make sure that you are aware of that, because obviously we know that not only do you have a risk of damaging winds, but also for damaging hail. So isolated damaging wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour and isolated damaging hail of up to an inch is possible. And then if we go on and take a look at excessive rainfall, you have a risk of excessive rainfall not for tonight, but tomorrow. Scattered flash flooding is in the forecast for you for tomorrow, so make sure that you're aware there. And then also on Tuesday, May the 26th, marginal risk of excessive rainfall once again. Now, for your future, it's going to be active. You have a flood watch going in from now until around Monday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central or 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern our time. And it's going to be active from tonight going through tomorrow, going through Sunday, Monday, Memorial Day there. And then even as you go into later next week, Thursday you still have a 20%. Friday you have a 20%. So you still have to watch out. Then in terms of Raleigh, North Carolina, by the way, for temperatures for San Antonio, going to continue to stay in the 80s, maybe trying to get up into the 90s later next week. But for Raleigh, North Carolina, you have low temperatures tonight at 62, high temperature for tomorrow at 78, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 66. There is a chance of rain for tonight, but tomorrow showers are likely, and then tomorrow night showers are expected. Now, in terms of your severe weather, excessive rainfall, for right now, it does look like you do have a risk. You do have a risk for some excessive rainfall tomorrow. Isolated flash flooding is possible Monday and Tuesday as well. So tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday, isolated flash flooding is in the forecast for you. For your future, it's looking like you're going to be active all this weekend, going into all next week. You have like an 80 to a 90% chance of rainfall almost daily as you go into tomorrow, into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It just continues for you as you get more and more rainfall. This will definitely help out with any sort of drought that you have and any sort of rainfall needs that you have, but it's going to be a lot. And not only that, but temperatures are going to continue to go up as well. You're going to be up into the 80s as your highs as you get more and more into next week. Then for Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at 49, high temperature for tomorrow at around a good 56, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 51. Rain is expected not only tonight, but tomorrow and tomorrow night. So rainfall for you is expected. We're also talking about severe weather not being an issue for you, but temperatures going to continue to go up and back into the 80s where they once was. And then after you get past Memorial Day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, rainfall rates are going to go down. And temperatures are going to kind of stay in that 80 range. And then finally, as we get into Duncan, Oklahoma, you have low temperatures tonight at 61. High temperature for tomorrow are at 80. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at 62. Showers are likely, or really I should say expected tonight. Tomorrow, there is also a chance of storms tomorrow and tomorrow night. Now, for your severe weather, for your excessive rainfall, you do have a risk of severe weather for tonight. Isolated severe storms are possible. And then in terms of your excessive rainfall, you do have a risk of that as well for tonight. And after that, that's pretty much it. You're kind of close on Tuesday, but not quite there. For your future, temperatures are going to continue to stay in the 80s or so for the rest of the week, next week. And then precipitation-wise, you're going to be up into the 50s percent range, 40% range as you continue throughout the pretty much tonight and tomorrow. But then Sunday, Memorial Day looks dry actually. So the only area on here, I believe, where Memorial Day is dry. But then once Memorial Day is over, it's going to start getting back to being active for you. And that's all I have to say here throughout the entire 4 areas. So let's see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. weather news-wise. Well, a wet Memorial Day weekend is in store for the East with widespread rainfall of 1 to more than 2 inches expected from the Gulf Coast to the southern New England areas. Well above normal temperatures are forecast to build across the northern plains, and another round of heavy to excessive rainfall is expected to impact the western Gulf Coast this weekend, with flood watches in effect. Also, some flood watches going on over there in Indiana, Ohio, and then also going on over here inside of Kentucky and West Virginia. So this is what we're looking at here, and honestly, pretty active right now as we continue throughout the rest of this Memorial Day weekend. Honorable mention for the top fans of the night for tonight. Mr. Chris was up there, and then my cousin Cher was also up there as well. So you all two both are the honorable mentions for tonight. And we did get a picture tonight. From my Aunt Lula, who did say this was taken between showers at the Georgetown Walmart. Here it is. And so thank you so much for this picture. A very good picture here, as you can see. If you want to go in and send in a picture, you can by sending it to scweather360@gmail.com. Again, that is scweather360@gmail.com. That's all really for tonight. If you have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. Also hit the subscribe button. Remember to go on and also follow me on social media, that being Twitter at 360_weather, and also on Instagram at 360_weather. You can also send in any sort of weather photos you have there as well. But that's all that I have to say here. Again, I'll be back tomorrow morning with your Saturday morning forecast update. Also tomorrow evening with your Saturday evening. Also, congratulations, I forgot about this, for making it to Friday. We made it to the weekend. Make sure if you are new, you hit those 2 buttons before you leave.